Hello, everyone. I'm Juan Mendoza, president of the Old Fourth Ward Business Association. Want to reiterate that this podcast was created to educate you on skills and different resources that are out there for you as an entrepreneur. We covered acquisition last time, and today we're going to focus on marketing. We're hosted and produced by Skutch Media, which is located here in the Old Fourth Ward, just a few steps from the Beltline. And joined here today by owner Marnie Joseph, and wanted to say congrats, Marnie and Pete, who's here in the background,
Thank you.
making sure things run smoothly. But I came by 6 months ago and just inspired by the big changes you guys are doing, and you guys yourselves are scaling out in your own capacity. So thank you again. Congrats.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for hosting us. And they recently came on as members as well of the association. So if you're looking to scale through marketing, please listen up. We got some great content for you guys. But Marnie, I do want to kick it over to you. Would you tell us a little bit about your background and introduce yourself and how you kind of what were you doing before the Skutch Media era?
I have spent over 25 years in the marketing and advertising world, in corporate America, working for, developing advertising and media and marketing campaigns for Fortune 30 companies. So I have, I started my career back in the day working with smaller, more mom and pop businesses, but still on the advertising side. And then grew my career from there. I had gotten to the point in my corporate career where it was just sort of, what do I do next? And was I really getting, the fulfillment out of, what I was doing on a day-to-day basis for these companies where, they didn't really know I existed, for lack of a better way of saying it. And I had gotten to the point where that's what I wanted to do was, just sort of develop my own thing. And at the same time, my husband had gotten involved in video production and content development. Seeing him go into the video production realm didn't surprise me at all, knowing him from always being interested in audio production and gear and working. He was a musician and working with gear and production and that type of stuff. And I had taken video production and audio production classes in college. I went to college for broadcast journalism. And so I had sort of developed those skills years ago, but didn't really know why I had developed them because I hadn't used them in so long. But I started kind of helping him out and working with him. It became kind of a creative outlet for me more than anything else. And we really started to enjoy working together, and it was like, wow, we could really make something here. Like we could really develop this into a business. And I had started, we had started working with a client, and just sort of started to see him as a small business owner, started to see his business grow based on the things that we were doing, the tactics that we were putting in place, the recommendations that we were giving him as we were consulting him and helping him make content that were actually like moving business metrics for him. And that was something that when the first time he told me, wow, I'm actually like seeing this working. This is huge for my business. Like, I'm telling you straight up, this is how this is impacting me monetarily and how it's impacting my business monetarily. That gave me more pride than launching a multi-million-dollar media campaign for a company. I'm like, well, wow, we're on to something here. Like, what we're doing is actually making a difference in this business owner's business and therefore life and everything that he's building and he's doing. And so we wanted to do more of that. And so we sort of developed the Skutch business model from there, which that kind of brings us to where we are here.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that amazing story. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and our members out there can resonate with that story. I think a lot of small businesses, there are some that you're born and I'm going to be an entrepreneur, right? But
Yeah.
I think a lot of us end up entering the corporate space and we find our passions and we build these skills based on those passions. And a lot of times we're the face of the company.
Yeah.
We're growing the profit for that company. And so I think the goal eventually is for someone like yourself and have that entrepreneur spirit to be able to transition out and say, look, I have a lot of experience. I have great ideas that I do not need the, big corporate backing behind me. And I'm going to turn essentially what I call passion into profit now.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people resonate with that specifically. So thanks for sharing that. And
Yeah.
can we talk a little bit about the maybe some of the nervousness or some of the fears of leaving that corporate world and saying, I'm going to go out on my own?
Oh, it's the scariest thing I've ever done. It's the most terrifying thing anyone will ever do in their life, and anyone who's done it knows it. It's the scariest thing you'll ever do, and anyone who is in the corporate world now and wants to do it, like I'm telling you, you can. And there is just never going to be a good time to do it. It's like you can plan as much as you can plan, but you can't plan for everything, and you've got to take a leap sometimes and do the scary thing. You're going to have great days and you're going to have terrible days, and you're going to have days where you're like, this is the greatest thing I ever done, and you're going to have days where you're like, this is the stupidest thing I ever did. And the important thing is that you just keep going, and you realize those first few years where you're starting out and you're building something from scratch, you are going to pivot and change directions and make mistakes and all of that, like every single day. It's never going to be perfect, so you gotta kind of make that jump before it's perfect, and that takes a lot of trust in yourself and trust in the universe. It's the scariest thing you'll ever do, but you can do it, and it actually is what it takes in order to do it. You can plan your way into doing nothing, or you can actually jump and do it. It's terrifying, it's scary, but it's like you just got to give it another 24 and keep
Right.
doing it.
Absolutely, I agree. It's just survive the day and,
Yeah.
and get to the next one, and you survive another one, and you look back and you've built upon, this small step, and now you look back and you're here, and you guys yourself,
I was
right?
gonna say, you saw it 6 months. You
Exactly.
saw what we built. You've seen what we built here. Yeah,
Yeah.
you saw it when we were just starting out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we're gonna jump into the model of what you guys
Yeah.
provide in this space. But what were some of the biggest challenges initially for you?
Biggest challenge was just sort of figuring out and tightening up like what the offering was going to be. And I think that's something that we've just gotten the hang of now, and quite honestly, we're still kind of fine tuning, like,
Hmm.
and we're going to be fine tuning it for as long as we're in business, which is hopefully a very, very long time, because I think as business owners, that's something that you should do. You should always be looking to make your product better. That was the most difficult thing, was really kind of fine tuning what that offering was, because what we thought it was at the beginning, when we were like, yeah, we're going to start this, it's not what it has ended up becoming at all. And what it's ended up becoming is so much better than what it started out as. So that's been the biggest challenge, is just kind of working on what that is. And I don't think that there is anything there's no like kind of magic how to do that, like how to fine tune what you're offering. It's just kind of like you got to start testing things and figuring out. It's like if you read any type of, those entrepreneurial books, like the what's the big one that's like the something startup, the lean startup or something like that it's called, and they'll all tell you to get like your minimum viable product, right? Get that in place for as cheap as possible, and then just start testing. And that's really what we did. I mean, you saw the studio. at first. Like, we had curtains up in here and some cheap lights that we got on Amazon, and now we have real studio lights.
Oh, awesome. Well, you guys are going to continue growing, and it's awesome to be a part of the journey. So thanks for
Thank
allowing
you.
us to be a part of that. And I agree. I think businesses they can do a lot of business planning, strategic planning, and there are resources out there for entrepreneurs to get that help and get you an outline. Whether it's a small business development center or Invest Atlanta or different
Yeah.
accelerator programs, but until you go and try to execute that plan, that's where you start getting into, okay, I had this plan, but I got to pivot here, or maybe my pricing was off, or the way I'm packaging the service.
Yeah.
You know, until you go out there and test it, you won't be able to figure out what your space is and what you're really trying to figure out there.
That's the thing for any business owner with marketing too. Like, we hear all the time. I hear all the time business owners being like, "Well, I tried that and it didn't work, and I
Hmm.
tried that and it didn't work." And it's like, yeah, that, they think that, okay, you've got the magic formula. You know what works, and it's like, it's not that easy. There's not a magic formula. Like, it's all about testing different things, measuring what the impact on your business was, and then just kind of fine tuning your approach from there, which is, it's just kind of like anything in life, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
You kind of test the waters, you dip your toe in,
Yeah.
you maybe touch the stove and then you get burned and you're like, oh shit, I ain't doing
That,
that
a-
again.
absolutely. So,
We've been there.
this is why I'm excited to jump in on this topic and especially learn from you guys.
Yeah.
Top three things entrepreneurs, especially starting off, deal with is capital,
Yeah.
mentorship, right? Trying to figure out someone who's done this before, and then marketing is always at the top three of those lists
Yeah.
because that is kind of essentially
I
how
bet.
one of the biggest mechanisms to grow your business, right? And increase that revenue down the line. And I think it's important to know too, in those first 3 years, most businesses aren't profitable, right? And then at that fifth year mark, you start really seeing businesses understand who they are,
Yeah.
what they're providing, what their client base is. And then after that, you start seeing this exponential growth in revenue, in customer base. So I want to jump into the type of marketing you guys help with, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different strategies out there for entrepreneurs. You can Google all day and look at some companies. There's large companies that do different things, but I love your guys' approach to local, right? And especially
Yeah.
since the majority of our membership base are small businesses. And so could you tell us your guys' strategy to marketing, helping entrepreneurs grow in that capacity?
There are certain things that you have to do out of the gate to get your business set up for success in the digital world that we live in now. When we're talking about discoverability, it used to be you opened a business, you wanted to open a bakery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You picked your location for your bakery. Hopefully that location was a good location that got good foot traffic at the right time periods and whatnot, that people want baked goods. All of those sort of things. And you wanted to make sure that people knew that you were there when you were open and what you were serving, right? And nowadays, there is that aspect of being a small business owner. You also need to be discoverable in the digital space too. That's so important. Like, you need to have, when you're naming your business, you need to keep in mind, what's your domain name going to be? You need to keep that in mind when you're thinking about naming your business. You need to think about how that's going to translate to a domain name. That's really important. An easy to remember domain name is key. You want to make sure that you've got, a good website set up that has the right information. You want to make sure, specifically for local, that you've got your Google business profile set up correctly. Um, Back in the day, like when digital first kind of became a thing, search engines were able to crawl the internet like willy-nilly. That's not the case anymore. There's too much stuff out there. So If you're a business owner who just sets up their website, sets up their Google, business profile and thinks, okay, I'm good, you're not good. Like, you need to make sure that you're updating it.
Mhm.
Google only has a finite amount of resources to crawl the internet, so they don't index everything that's out there on the internet.
Okay.
So you can be a business owner setting up your website. Let's take a restaurant in the Old Fourth Ward, and you can put your website up there, and someone's searching, saying maybe like looking for restaurants Old Fourth Ward or restaurants near me. Even we can get into the kind of the changes in the near me approach. Someone can be looking for you, and you think, well, I've got my website set up, I'm just fine. You may not be indexed by Google. You may not be popping up at all. And that was actually the case with one of our clients. None of his website was ranked by Google. It's because the search engine, Google needs to see that the site is legit, the
Mhm.
business is legit, the site is valuable, the site is updated. Okay, this is a good, clean
Mhm.
site. We'll rank this. This site is providing value. If you just pop a website up there and leave it, it's just like buying a piece of real estate and just leaving it. It's going to be overgrown. It's going to
Mm.
be run down. It's useless. It's a tombstone sitting there. If you're not really paying attention to making sure that Google is indexing all of the pages of your site, that you're not doing a regular discovery analysis for your business, that's something every business owner should be doing. Googling your business, making
Mm.
sure that, Google is indexing, and if not, like, talk to an SEO expert. Like, that's actually something we can help with. That's something that, there are SEO experts out there that can help you. There are lots of free resources on YouTube, on
Mhm.
other social media accounts that break down a lot of the technical swirl that exists around digital marketing and SEO. And I know there's a lot of it, but what SEO is at the end of the day is it's just making sure your business is discoverable online.
Yeah.
That's
And
all it is.
yeah.
It's making sure that the face of your business digitally is as buttoned up and clean as it should be, because that makes you legit in the digital space, not just to the algorithms and the platforms that really control how we show up and control whether or not we're found, really, but also to potential customers.
Thank you. And I agree. And we're learning ourselves, right? We're a business
Yeah.
association, it's a nonprofit business at the end of the day. But I remember when we reached out to our website partner, and he was like, "Your plugins aren't even updated.
Yeah.
You're not going to pull up on Google." And so if people are searching business support near me or business association near me,
They're not going to
you're
see you.
exactly. And so that's where we started, investing in that. And definitely recommend going out there and talking to an SEO expert if you don't have one yet. Or as Marnie said, hey, there's a lot of YouTube University out there where you can go and try to, get you know, do your own projects and what be. But it's very important to make sure that you are up to date and leverage the Google ecosystem, because, the reality is that's what people use,
It's
right,
so
every day.
important. It's like you're dead in the water if you're not doing it.
Yeah, and I remember one of the first conversations when I was here last time was talking about how, um, you know, website is one aspect, right? Where I could tell you, hey, go try this restaurant, but what am I going to do as a consumer? I'm going to go to
I'm
your
gonna look it
website.
up.
I'm going to look at your website, and then I'm going to go to
Yeah.
Google. I'm going to look at your reviews as
Yep.
well, right? So it's
Yep.
always coming back to Google.
And social proof.
Yeah, social proof.
It's all about your digital presence and leveraging, like you said, the Google ecosystem. It's incredibly important, and your social proof.
Which is a great segue into what you do and how you create that social proof.
Yeah.
Could you give us a little bit of your model and, what your approach is to create that social proof for our businesses?
We help business owners develop premium, high quality, like top quality produced video content for their business. So the business owner is presented as you and I here, as a professional, as an expert in their field, speaking about their products and services that they offer and how that can benefit their potential customers. And who better to do that than the owner of the business or, the entrepreneur? What I think we do really well at Skutch is we position business owners as the professionals and the experts that they are in their field and allow them, to put their best foot forward and show themselves and their business in the best light. How we do that really is by producing, a video podcast or a video series that then fuels that business's, well, it can fuel multiple aspects of that business's strategy.
Okay.
So it'll fuel their content strategy first and foremost, because they've got excellent quality produced content about their business that they can use for their website, for their YouTube page, for their social media. We'll cut it for them, batch it for them. Out of each sort of episode of a video series, the business will get, 20 pieces of social content that they can then use and push out through their social channels. The business owner can then use that as a networking, referral, or collaboration aspect for their business as well. You've got, a dry cleaner who wants to collab with a new, restaurant in town that's doing a red wine tasting or something about, I don't know, I'm making up a collab.
Well, I'll give you one because one of our members is a dry cleaner, and there's
hey.
a hotel, right? And so they
Here we
wanted a
go.
partnership where it's, hey, how do we create a partnership with the hotel and the guest leverage our dry cleaning services down the street?
So then say if there was a, dry cleaner that wanted to host a video series with the hotel, and they could talk about how a hotel or something the size of the hotel utilizes different cleaning services for the hotel, and they can more talk about the operations of it or what are the things that they take into consideration or whatnot. So then it puts both the hotel and the dry cleaner, it gives them each excellent B2B content that they can each use. Whoever kind of owns the podcast has sort of developed a relationship with the other business owner that then hopefully that relationship develops further. The business owner with the podcast has then done something for that other business owner. It's like, here, you've got this great social content for free because we're collab posting it. So it's like, it sort of helps them develop these business relationships as well. I think what the most important thing for the business owner is that the business owner owns this content, right? The business owns this content. This content lives in perpetuity for the business. So as opposed to an example where the business owner is taking their marketing budget and say, hey, I'm going to invest all this money into this TV commercial that then it runs a couple times. You're kind of talking about one thing. It's not necessarily anything that can live on forever or anything that can serve a purpose beyond immediate, where this content can live on in perpetuity and can be cut and recut and reused and used again. And it's the business owner can create this content for a lot less than what they think they could create it for. So, what they used to be able to create it for. Yes,
Come on in.
for
the
sure.
mystery voice.
Yeah, please.
What it really does is it creates for that client its own platform to then launch any type of collab they want.
Right.
So say your hotel, if he started this early, the laundry shouldn't be it should be the easiest connection possible, because what is symbiotic, right? So now that you have a way to display said symbiotic relationship, they just will fall into place. Like I think about
Yeah.
different soaps and cleaning supplies, and now you have guests and software and which bed and Surly Posturepedic, and I just the
It
the
opens the opportunity.
it opens by having platforms like this now brings in from anyone, whether you're a cook or a hotel or a manufacturer, you now have an insight into this is how my business works. It's like a beacon. Who else out there wants to be a part of this? Like, I'm a steel manufacturer. I can go get raw ore guys. We can talk about aggregate. We can talk about stuff that's being built. Then where does our stuff go and why is it being built into this? Like, it's inevitable as long as you keep putting out that beacon. And that's what we have found this marketing does. It just allows that beacon for whomever and whatever they want it to be. As long as it's creative, we go into it right. It will all the laundry in the hotel.
Right.
It just, of course, it's
Right.
just too easy.
Yeah.
So
And I think the opportunities are limitless, right? Because like Pete said, then I could bring in my cleaning supplier that talks about
Yeah.
our chemicals that we use. Maybe they're
100%.
100%
earth friendly, different things like that. And so you just start building,
Yeah.
this massive.
The possibilities are endless. The content can go on forever. Like, you'll never run out of it. And
you start fragmenting it too. Then it can go into this is our clean, and then you start bringing those people back to talk about new stuff in the industry, and then you become a source and a resource for the person. But it doesn't start until you start that beacon.
And
Yeah.
what's most important is that you're always a source and a resource for your potential customers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you build it right, then people want to come and say, look, I see this cool content you have. I want to come on board. How do I join you on the podcast, right?
I want to be a part of it. Then they're going to start to get sponsors wanting to come in. So then it opens up a whole it can open up a whole nother source of revenue for these businesses.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't even tapped on, like, once you start this beacon and people start going to the flame, then it becomes, well, you're a hotel, you talk about these cleaning supplies, we make the beauty rest. Why aren't you talking about our beauty rest? Or right now, hey, Purple, and that's it. You have a platform you can take. It's limitless, where you can then start spinning it, but it all has to come from something that is yours that makes people, what's that beacon that they can then hitch their wagon and say, I'm part of this. It's just kind of, then you just coast and pull each other. You drift.
Yeah. And a lot of this, the reason for this series specifically is to touch on different strategies are out there, right? There's some things out there that people think are still the go-tos and are outdated, but the content building, the social proof aspect of it, you can hit this on social media, and then we talked about directing that to a different platform. And so you can really have content and social proof everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what's really neat about the strategy.
Whatever they want to do with it. And we haven't even gotten to, going down the road. We kind of started there with it could open up another revenue stream, but selling digital products or selling videos or putting certain videos behind paywalls on their website. Content can always be monetized. And I think that's what we've learned as we've entered this digital space and watched these platforms like YouTube explode to what they've become. And you think about video content and how it's always been, very controlled in the past by, media outlets in Hollywood and whatnot. And then social media comes along and puts it kind of in everyone's hand, and technology develops, and the technology brings production along so much that it's more accessible and more people are getting to do it easier and easier and easier. And so the average business owner is starting to see what corporations like Disney have known for years, and that is that content can always be monetized. And the average business owner has that opportunity now where they didn't before. And I think that's what's really kind of exciting about it.
Yeah. And then like so let's, and it, like you said, it creates almost a show, right? People look forward to your business through this marketing medium. And let's take an example: someone standing outside the retail storefront promoting, a new product or service. But this can be a different way with same approach, right? You're still trying to highlight, a rollout of a new product or a new service, but you do this in a different
It's
capacity.
the virtual blow up hand waving
Yeah.
guy, right? In front of the car dealership. Putting someone in a position like this is very uncomfortable for the average person.
Hmm.
Like, not everyone is Oprah, not everyone is
Right.
Katie Couric, not everyone's super comfortable in front of a camera or even knows what to do or even knows how to speak into a microphone, and the average business owner doesn't. And it's very uncomfortable, and I think that's what stops a lot of business owners from putting themselves out there and making content like this where they do have great information to offer their customer base or potential customer base and could really do something like this and it could benefit them, and they're nervous about doing it because they either don't have the equipment to do it, and they've got to hire someone to do it, and they don't know, they're scared. Part of what our unique value proposition for Skutch is that we understand that, because we're kind of going through it ourselves right
Hmm.
now. And so we've built this environment where a business owner can come in and feel super comfortable. The studio's in our home. Um, it's a clean space. It's very relaxed. There's not there's not a technician sitting here saying, "Let me know when I can hit record," and the business owner's just watching money fly out the window because they're like, "Oh, I got to do that over again," and they're feeling rushed and they're not comfortable. And we sit here and we talk to the business owner about their business
Hmm.
and tell me about why you do this and how did you come up with the idea and where did this come from and this or that, and all of a sudden they're comfortable and we're able to get the best out of them
Hmm.
and really put their business forward in the best light possible every single time we've done this. Everyone's been like, wow, that was great. Like, I could do that all day long. That was super relaxing. Like, I've never done this before. I can't believe I looked that good. Like, everyone has said that. This is a real concern business owners have. They're nervous about looking good. They want to, if they're going to
Hmm.
do this, they're going to put themselves out there. It's freaking scary and they want to look like a pro. So, then they're able to come in here and we're able to deliver them looking like an absolute pro. The production quality is awesome, and they're like, "Well, heck yeah, this is worth every penny."
It's also for us, it's not just about making it. It's that, is this just going to sit in some drive or some folder somewhere and never see anything? Because we had people that, like, you would hand them, okay, here's your shoot, right? Like, we can coach you. I can coach you through proper mic etiquette and why the headphones work and how to answer questions. And we can produce for you, i.e., questions, and help you do all that stuff. That's easy. But in the end, it's one, who's editing this? Like, who's going to make me look my best? Because that's really where the rubber meets the road. And that's the hours on end of sitting there and pulling out the best of the best to make it look good. Then it's, what do I do with this in the end? And all of those things before, you had to piece them out. I shot it here, I edited it here, and now I have to figure out who the heck's going to post this for me. And is the copywriting right? Is this right? Is that right? Am I on the right? Why am I doing audio here? Why am I doing video here? Is this the right forms? This is, you come in and from the minute you sit down in that chair, it just doesn't start with, this is how to use a mic. By the time you end this, you go, and it came out, and there it is. Like, the sausage finishes, cooks, is handed to you in a beautiful wrapper, and there you go. Wow,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. Everybody we've talked to says everything else was very transactional. People walk in and they say it's $300 an hour, and then you got to pay the tech and you got to pay camera guys. Well, who does my editing, dude? You get a hard drive. Oh, by the way, that's 500
You gotta
bucks.
find someone to
Hmm.
edit,
Then you
right?
got to find someone to edit. Now, is that going to look right? Are they going to work with the same equipment you used? Then you get it edited, and it's all nice. Then it's like, then who's going to code it? Who's going to do this? Who's going to put? If you have something, it's like building a beauty. You watch, I love these car shows. You build that car from the beginning. You keep it with the same builder because that guy's going to carry that vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then your vision is always, I want it to this color. I want it clean. I want the lights Frenched in. I want the license plate like this. I don't want a gas cap. I want this. I want these special. That's the difference. Between the two of us, you literally are touched from pre-production to it through that shoot to looking great to getting that product done to the post till it's done to here's our next one. We're ready to go. It's an engine and a machine that you just have to go, I'm in. And that's where it's been very, very different. We haven't seen that anywhere.
Yeah, like we were talking about Joe Rogan. Any of those big podcasters have teams and teams of people working for them. They've got a bunch of producers working for them that handle the lining up of the guests, doing all of the on-site production, all of the post-production editing, all of the clipping for social media. That alone, I don't think people realize how much work clipping video content for social media is. And yes, there are AI programs out there that assist and do make some of it easier, but none of them do it all for you and none of them are perfect. And each of the social media platforms has different stipulations of how they push certain things in their algorithms to keep as much of the work in platform as possible to try to eliminate people using third-party schedulers and platforms and whatnot. So it's these little tricks that they do. So it's kind of trying to figure out how to work around them and as sort of one-stop shop as possible for the business owner. So we've taken what the Joe Rogans do and kind of brought it down to like a small scale where everything's kind of done in this neat little package. It's accessible for the everyday business owner.
Yeah, no, I could think this is something that, small business, especially our members, can tap into. If that's something that they're interested in pivoting from, traditional marketing and trying, something different, especially with how saturated Atlanta is and how competitive it is how can I differentiate myself, my brand, what I do? And it can be nerve-wracking to speak on podcasts. I used to be that way as well, but I found
Same.
I found that though, if it's something that I feel confident in, that I'm passionate about talking about, ergo someone's business, right? Then it's kind of a smooth transition because when it turns on, I'm talking about my business, which is something that I do all day, every day.
Right.
Right. And you start leaning into that.
Yep.
And another aspect of it too is, in our community, people want to know who they're doing business with, right? And it also inclines people to do business with you. So you take some of the owners here, right? If take Ladybird, for example, he's like, I know Michael,
right.
That's Michael. I want to go do business with Michael,
right.
And they get to really understand you as an owner and as a human being, and, what you stand for, why you started your business. And again, this is just how consumers are buying things now outside of just.
And I think 100%. And I think everything has gotten more personalized that way. And I think what business owners need to understand is that they are more of their business than they think they are.
Yeah. And you guys allow them to go be the businesses and the creatives, right? That what they're bringing to the market. We
just want to put it in the best light possible for them.
Yeah. I love the opportunity for small businesses to essentially market big in that capacity, create ongoing content that's not a huge expense, on the income statement. And so I highly suggest trying it. Could you give us some examples of some of the clients that you've helped with and how they've kind of seen success?
I'll use a chiropractor as a great example. We have a chiropractor client here in Atlanta who we produce a podcast for. We produce a bi-weekly podcast. It comes out every other Tuesday morning, the Easewell podcast. Listen to it, download it on all major platforms and YouTube. So it is a health and wellness podcast. And so he interviews other chiropractors, he interviews nutritionists, he interviews medical doctors, he interviews, personal injury attorneys if they're doing an episode about like what to do if you're in a car accident or something like that. And there's that collaboration opportunity as well, right? Because they are in a business where they do a lot of business together. And this can help then strengthen their relationship. But those are the type of examples. And so then what we do for this chiropractor is we produce this podcast. We distribute this podcast for him. It goes out on all major podcast platforms. It goes out on YouTube in full video. We batch that video content for them. That video content goes out on social media. We SEO his website so that everything works symbiotically across his website, across YouTube, across social media, across all of the podcast platforms. It is taking a chiropractor who does not have a massive marketing budget, who does not have, yet the type of marketing budget where, they're going out and spending a ton of money on TV commercials or buying up the internet in search terms. He's got this amazing, top quality produced video content. His social feed now, if you go to it, looks like, wow, this guy is a professional in his field. Like,
an expert.
He's a celebrity.
I'm being very serious when I say this. Like, when people start podcasts, it doesn't take much to get people to start to notice, and it's the right people. To manage that and to know that is a whole nother world. That's a completely different universe of that type of stuff. That's really where my background kind of pops in working. I've come from a long 20 years of working in the entertainment industry, artist relations, partnerships. So to navigate that type of stuff, like our chiropractor's ready, like, can I customize my own tools and white label stuff? I'm like, it doesn't, this platform just does nothing more than allow as a springboard for anything. Like your own designer sheets hotel, right? Like this is our collection. Like this launches every bit of that. We can help you negotiate and help you navigate that. That's a weird area. I don't know how much. I got to do a promotion before. And what am I doing for? I don't even understand. We do. Because they will come, and they'll come quick. Those waters are unique, and they're different. We know them. And that's a very unique piece, too, because like I said, it will come.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, it's not just it's about being intentional with the podcast and how do you drive that into revenue, right? Whether it's getting them to book appointments on our website. So it's a marketing strategy.
It is. It all goes back to strategy.
All strategy.
Yeah.
It all goes back to strategy. It's all about understanding. It's all about understanding the business, understanding, how the business makes money. What are the primary revenue drivers? Who is the audience? What is the business solving for? All of these important things that you need to understand about the business so that you can craft the proper messaging that you then communicate in this podcast. And it's about strategically planning that out accordingly so you're hitting the right topics around the right time seasonally for your business or any other thing that drives your business, right? But it's all about planning those guests, planning the content that you're going to be talking about, and then lining it up with what you've got going on from like a promotion standpoint and a social media, standpoint, and what you want to be sort of selling that month or promoting that month or pushing that month. And yeah, it's about lining that up. And if you've got the content, you can always go back to it and repost it. And that's another thing that I think a lot of businesses get. either they do too much of it and they're just reposting the same thing all the time, which is a huge no-no, or they don't post old content at all because they don't think they can, and they think that they always have to post something new and they have to post it every day, which is another thing. Don't think you have to post every day. That's another thing I see businesses doing all the time, and all it's doing is it's burning out the business owner or whoever they have doing it, and you're wasting resources. You can always go back and repost old content. So say you did, this chiropractor did an episode on concussions, like 6 months or, 6 months to a year ago, and something comes up, and, we're in Atlanta, and, this season, football season, one of the big, Kirk Cousins gets a concussion in the opening game. I can't believe I just said that and jinxed him. I'm gonna knock on wood about that, right? But I was like, But so that happens. It's a big news event. Repost that piece of content that's a clip of you talking about concussion protocol. Those are things that you can do when you've got great content that's always usable in your library.
It's like prepping your marketing pantry.
It's marketing prepping.
Right? Like, so
just reach in the cupboard.
Doomsday marketing
grab
prepping.
a can of marketing.
One of our chiropractor client, it's funny now, we're starting to see he's enough in and we've shot enough now that we can go back on. Remember when that's just it. In perpetuity that you own this and it's you. Where does the value end? Well, yeah, right there. But you can go back. We can recut. You get all your raw footage to the point where there's some stuff that ends on the floor that you can go back and go, wait, it didn't work there, but there it is. It's almost like a time capsule of your business. And if you do it right, that time capsule will pay you. It's going to drive business because it is your true you, and you are your business. Yeah. So
it's a timestamp of where you were in your business at that time, right?
Yeah. Just a lot of, opportunities with it. We'll have members that have 20, 30,000 followers, and it's a massive audience that you could be captivating, through different avenues. And we're not negating that. Again, I think you have to be well-rounded in, like you said, in your strategies, but this is something that is working, right, in the space, and you guys are, providing something different, innovative, and especially for our small businesses in the community. And I'll give an example to walk people through, why we started the podcast, the technical support series.
Yep.
Because one, what it does is it shows people who our membership is made out of, right? Small businesses. Secondly, it gives an opportunity to highlight one of our members that they get the benefit of getting some marketing exposure.
Perfect.
Third, then we drive it back to saying, hey, drive it over to the Business Association website, join here, right? So that's just another marketing tool that we have added to it.
So you were doing the Skutch model before you even knew.
But, and so, before we were just, doing Zoom and hitting record, right, and just pumping it out. But you guys came on board and really helped us with the production, right? And what it just makes us look, really official. We sound really great. We look really great. Our guests look really great.
That's the point.
We can have conversations about the guests, the owners, the business.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it helps the business and it helps us gain membership. To make sure that our businesses are leveraging us as an association and tap into the resources that we're providing.
Right.
And for us, the list can be ongoing, right? We can always look at who do we want to bring in and talk to. So that's
how every business should look at it. Yeah. And that's how any other business should look at it, just how the business association is looking at it. It's like we can continue to, this has tentacles that can continue to, we're never going to run out of areas to take this, and we can always use it to provide value. And that's, at the end of the day, why it's a technique that lasts. It's a lasting technique, and it's not necessarily the quick hit, hey, buy one, get one free, boom.
Right.
It's not that. It's the long game. Like this is a marathon, not a sprint. This is setting your business up with awesome content that you own, that you can consistently use to put back into the business. It's like an investment in your business, which any good marketing should be, versus just, you know, a one-time pile of cash you throw in.
Yeah.
And you get, you maybe get a big return out of it, but like, what do you get long term?
Right. It's just an immediate, then you got to do it again. Where, like, if we take this video, we could use it 20 different times, right? And talk, space out the segments. And
How many different things
and
did we talk about? We
exactly.
talked about a bunch of different topics. So if you think about it, like all of that, like we can cut this a million different ways. And then those, this episode's going to be maybe say 45 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can cut this into a bunch of different, 3-minute videos for the YouTube page. We can cut it into a bunch of, under 30 seconds and under for Instagram. We can cut it into and it can always live forever. So you can take the under 30-second one where, we're talking about the Google business profile, and you can push that out at one point. You can take the 30-second one where we're talking about, more of, podcast distribution, and push that out another time. Right. And so you've got your library, and then it's just taking that library and planning it out. And okay, so how do I use this? When do I message certain things, right? And what's the best time to message certain things for my business? And when does it serve me best?
Yeah.
When does it serve my business best?
Yeah. Well, look, guys, we're trying it. We're on board with the strategy, right? Get a lot of questions from members, from small businesses around the community on how do I market? What's a good marketing strategy? And I think this is a good long-term investment on it. Any other insights you want to give to small businesses, navigating marketing, navigating scaling, anything you would like to?
First and foremost, you have to know your audience.
Demographics.
It's beyond demographics. It's yes, where do they live, and all of those demographic things, but it's also like, what problems do they have that your products or services can solve? How do they think about certain things? What media are they consuming, and how are they consuming it? It's like, okay, my audience, is more of a Facebook audience versus a TikTok audience, right? Okay, well then put your efforts from a marketing standpoint in your Facebook content. The thing that I always like to say is, like, any marketing is loyalty marketing. Your P1s, as we like to call them in the marketing world, like your first and foremost, listen to them. It's like, Pete's old boss said, you got 2 ears, 1 mouth. You should listen twice as much as you talk, right? It's a great piece of advice. It's a funny thing to say. It's a great piece of advice. Listen to your audience. Listen to your P1s, because they'll always tell you, if you're listening to them, what you should be doing, right? And if you, from a marketing standpoint, put your efforts into taking care of them, they'll do a lot of that acquisition work for you and a lot of the promotion of you for you, right? If you're taking care of them and producing good content that provides a resource for them, is taking care of them.
Pete, any last words you want to leave the members with?
Be okay to fail. Just push. There's a lot of incarnations of this that, honestly, up to probably 3 months ago, didn't see this. And now that I'm seeing it, it's pretty cool, and to see where the real fit is. It does, in my opinion, the code becomes very clear when you hit the right combination, right? The door opens, you're like, oh. And it's what works with you is inside you, and then what you can give. That's the secret. I never saw being a SAG actor and a child actor and learning how to, cues and why and this and that, or being a musician and learning how to work with a microphone or set up gear. And I thought those were just frivolous hobbies, but they weren't. They were training for making sure you look great and our clients look great. And when we build this content, it's built right, and it's have dreams, play, but don't be afraid to fall and fail, because that's where you really learn this stuff.
Yeah. Now, where can they find you? People are interested.
Skutchmedia.com, at Skutchmedia on Instagram. And yeah, those are the two big places that you can find us. Check out the Easewell podcast. You should check out the Pete podcast. So we also produce a fun little passion project for Pete and I, where the sort of gist behind this is, you know, you don't have to be the biggest celebrity, you don't have to have the biggest following, but there's interesting people kind of all around us. So we interviewed, you know, and I just said you don't have to be a celebrity, but we interviewed a former NBA player.
Hall of Famer.
Very cool.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is a Hall of Famer.
Which one?
That's right.
Jermaine
Jermaine
Jones.
Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, played for
He
Georgia.
hit his head on the lights, bro.
Yeah, he had to duck coming in here.
Look
So we interviewed him. We just, we've got an episode coming out on Monday where we interviewed a Shahnai player, which is, it's a traditional Indian instrument that they play at Indian weddings. And
Okay.
so, and he's got a huge following. He travels like all over the world and stuff. So it's just kind of like
Isaac
interesting
Dietz,
people.
we have
Yeah.
coming up. That's a video.
He's
like
a music video director.
did Manchester Orchestra and like Group Love and
Yeah, some cool.
unbelievable
yeah.
passion. Right? Shay Dominguez, who's a
Yeah.
comedian that
Yeah.
does some incredible, like Giants, like they walk among us, like they're there, and they're common men just like us, but they're unbelievable in their arenas, comedy, sports. It's just you got to look past just the, oh my God, this guy has 50 million. So that's what the whole podcast is based on.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yeah.
Users of your own products and services.
Hey, that's how it works, right?
Well, really appreciate you guys helping us out with our podcast and our marketing strategy as well.
We love doing it.
If
We
you're
do.
interested in joining the 04 The War Business Association, you can find us on Instagram at 04WBA and also at 04WBA.com. You can sign up on our website directly. We would love to have you and continue collaborations like this. We will be having future guests on, so if you're interested in that and coming by, checking out the studio and joining us in on conversation about your business, your industry, we'd love to have you, and look forward to you guys' continued success. Looking forward to you guys scaling out.
Thank you.
And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Coming from you from the 4th Ward, happy to be here. Best community that we have. Thank you, Skutch Media.
Awesome. Thank you.